to Heroes Forge, a Heroes of the Storm podcast.
Hello Forgers, and welcome back to episode 2 of Heroes Forge, a community-driven podcast about Heroes of the Storm. I'm your host, Jeff Reynolds, and today I am joined by the totally amazing host of the Into the Nexus pre-show and the author of the health and fitness blog, Ripped for Blizzcon, Kristen Ashton.
Hello, Jeff, and thank you so much for having me today. It's great to be here.
I'm so pumped to have the first guest. It's going to be totally awesome, and I am so stoked for the hero that we're forging for the Nexus today.
The excitement cannot be contained. It has taken all of my energy not to talk about this with anybody and just break all of the secrets.
I know. Same here. Exact same thing here. So before we get started, Kristen, why don't you go ahead and just give us a little bit of a history of the Blizzard games that you've played in the past, and what your favorite moments in Blizzard games are, and what your favorite game might be, and just to give the listeners a little bit about you.
All right. Well, to start things off, we're traveling back to the early 1990s when Diablo first released. And this was a time when I was too young to play video games of that nature because they were a bit gory. So my dad played those games, and he would set up a chair right next to him, and we would just play Diablo together. I would remind him to save before he got into any boss fights, and he would thank me for that and forge on. So, of course, the beginning of Diablo absolutely captivated me because, of course, the graphics were phenomenal for that time period. And then there was this crow that was munching on a carcass to make it less graphic, but it captivated my imagination. And then, of course, at the end, when you have the warrior, he has to take the soul stone into his own body and then forge out into a further adventure. So that's where the seeds of video gaming all began, especially with Blizzard. And then Diablo 2 came out probably at the most perfect time it could have. It was during a time at school where you didn't really have much summer homework, so I'd play Diablo 2, and my first Diablo 2 character was the sorceress, but I wanted her to be a warrior. So I spec'd her as a warrior and just went around beating people with my club. And of course, in all of that time when you're just wandering around doing nothing but fighting monsters, my story was that the Dark Wanderer had been my love, and now he was out there somewhere, and I had to find him and bring justice.
That's a great internal monologue.
Yes, yeah, it kept me going through all of those acts because, man, Act 2 itself was long.
Right. It's much longer than Diablo 1, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So you're a huge Diablo fan.
Big time. Yep, and
Yeah.
then it just went from there, of course. I never really played StarCraft, though. The first StarCraft I played was this recent one, Legacy of the Void.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I was just on the last episode, I talked a little bit about how I only ever played StarCraft single player because I just get rocked when I play the multiplayer StarCraft. So.
Yeah. So you stick with what you know.
Yeah, there's some serious professionals out there that know what they're doing, and I'm not one of them for StarCraft. So, Great, cool. So, huge Diablo fan. So, I'm thinking maybe we have a Diablo hero that we're looking into. But before we start that, I just want to let everyone know a little bit about what we're going to do here. The first episode of Heroes Forge explained the process, but a little bit of a reminder for everyone, if this is your first time listening to the show, is Kristen and I are going to plow through all of the different parts of this hero's kit, the hero that she has chosen that we're going to talk about, and nothing is out of bounds, nothing's off limits. We can create some really fun things, some things that might be practical, some things that won't be practical. Again, it's just a totally fun time that we're going to have. So, Kristen, who are we going to be forging today?
Today, we are forging the Dark Wanderer.
Oh, the Dark Wanderer! A Dean himself. I am so stoked. All right, Kristen, let's forge.
Let's forge.
Dark Wanderer. I am so stoked. So at this point in the show, we're going to give a little bit of a backstory of the hero we're forging here. This helps us for people that maybe haven't played the games before, haven't seen the Dark Wanderer or Adean in the games, and so they can get a little bit of a feel. So this is a spoiler alert for everyone listening. If you haven't played Diablo, Diablo 2, or even Diablo 3, what are you doing with your life? Why are you not out there playing?
Truly aren't spoilers anymore. You've had decades here.
Decades. I mean, we're talking decades of time to play these games. But in all honesty, if you haven't played them and you're looking forward to playing them, probably turn the volume off for a little bit as we talk about this, because we don't want to ruin anything, because the story is so thick. I was doing research after you told me who you'd like to forge today, and I just realized it's intense. There's a whole lot.
Yeah, but that's all Blizzard games. I mean, they can't write a game and not have tomes of story.
Right, I think that's why we're all so super invested in it, is because of that. Because nothing is underdeveloped. I mean, for the most part, nothing is underdeveloped, so... Great. So this isn't the lore that's just this isn't all the lore that's surrounding the Dark Wanderer. It's just enough for everyone to get an idea. The character that we're forging today. If you want to learn more about the Dark Wanderer, you can check out some of the great Wikipedia sites that are out there. Diablo.wikia.com is where I got a ton of information, things I didn't even know, and I had played through the games multiple times. So that's a great website. So I'd like to cite them too for this, because I took some of their stuff. So that's diablo.wikia.com for more information. So Adean, later known as the Dark Wanderer, was the son of Leoric, king of Condurus, and the student of Deckard Cain. His family, including his brother Albrecht, lived in Tristram, and they established their court in an abandoned cathedral. After time, Adean's father, King Leoric, started becoming erratic, and in his madness he sent his armies to do battle with the neighboring kingdom of Westmarch. Adean was to lead that army. The battle was a huge defeat, but Adean returned to find that his father had gone completely mad and had been slain by one of his own knights. And to top it all off, his brother was missing and the kingdom was in shambles. Adean vowed to find his brother and banish whatever power had gripped the land. The evil was reported to be coming from the cathedral, and a team of heroes accompanying Adean set forth to vanquish this evil and save his brother. Adean defeated many forces of the burning hells in the depths under the cathedral, including the reanimated remains of his own father, now known as the Skeleton King. The heroes finally came to battle with the prime evil Diablo himself. Adean, driven by the belief that his brother could still be saved, pressed on. He and his companions wore on Diablo down ultimately. But ultimately, Adean struck the final blow, only for it to be revealed that Diablo had used Albrecht, Adean's brother, as his host. Adean's brother's life was lost when Diablo was defeated. Whoa, that is totally intense.
Gotta shed a tear for that poor little kid.
As we continue, Diablo has controlled Albrecht using a sharp dark red ruby rock called a soul stone that he smashed in his forehead. Adean, seeing his brother's dead body before him, would have shattered his mind. Regardless, whatever may run through Adean's head, there was one last loose end, the soul stone. The soul stone was not powerful enough to contain Diablo on its own. Believing he had the fortitude to contain Diablo's essence, Adean plunged the soul stone into his own forehead. Blood filled his vision. The whispers of the damned echoed in his ears, and Adean could feel Diablo himself crawling his way up from the dark recesses of his soul. But Adean had done it. Diablo had been contained. After the battle against Diablo was won, the kingdom attempted to heal, but Adean increasingly shunned the company of others, spending the day in isolation and the night wandering the streets, seemingly without direction or purpose. Ultimately, the witch Adria seemed to be the only person who could offer him comfort, and the two spent long nights behind closed doors. This, however, was not of Adean's intent, but of Diablo's. Adrian saw the truth that Adean had not conquered Diablo at all, and pledged herself to the Lord of Terror's service. Through Adean, Diablo impregnated Adria, conceiving a child who would be his vessel. It would be over 2 decades, but when the time was right, Diablo would return to claim his prize. Under the control and power of Diablo's Soulstone, Adean headed east with the intention of releasing the other 2 prime evils. A band of heroes followed him, but he had a head start and the burning hells on his side. He now had a new moniker, the Dark Wanderer. On his journey to the east, he stopped at a mountain tavern. This is the first time that we see Diablo's power through the Dark Wanderer, as he summons demons in the forms of the undead to his side. The Wanderer set the tavern ablaze and everyone in it, apart from one, Marius, who had fled the religious group known as the Rogue Monastery. For whatever reason, the Wanderer beckoned to Marius to follow, and he did. For many weeks, the pair traveled across the lands. During the trip, the Wanderer told Marius of his past as a warrior and the burden that had been placed on him. Over many travels, with the help of Marius, the Wanderer frees the other 2 prime evils and is no longer needed as a vessel for Diablo. The Infernal Gate was opened and Diablo took full control over the Wanderer's body, assuming his true form. The Wanderer had served the Lord of Hell well, and Adean seemed to be lost forever. However, the heroes that had pursued the Wanderer over the months had not given up and confronted Diablo himself. Deckard Cain would speculate later that even then, some small part of Adean's old self remained, that as the heroes fought that demon without, Adean fought him from within. Regardless, Diablo was defeated, his essence returned to his soulstone, and like his brother Albrecht before him, Adean's body was left behind. In honor of his memory, the champions wrapped his broken body and threw it into the eternal fires that raged all around them. Well, if that isn't a thick story, I don't know what is.
Oh, it's probably about as thick as they come in terms of Blizzard lore.
I think so. I think that's really good.
Yeah, and apparently it was Metconned. I don't know if you saw that part.
No.
But apparently we know what retconning is. It's going back in time and changing the story so that it better fits the current timeline. So apparently Chris Metzen likes to do that so much. When he does it, it's known as Metconning.
Oh, yeah, because it wasn't that developed in the beginning with just the warrior at the beginning in Diablo 1 and then moving into Diablo 2. I don't even think it was that developed.
Exactly, not at all. And I think the only thing I found that they said might have instigated a different background is there was a pen and paper RPG that Diablo had for it. And it's hinted at that a dude named Karak, the last of the Order of the Gauntlet, was actually the warrior from the first one.
Wow, there's a pen and paper Diablo RPG?
Apparently, it's called this specific one. This specific chapter was known as The Awakening.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I don't know if
so
they sell it anymore.
Oh, we must find it.
We will play.
That sounds like a blast.
You're stuck in the desert for 10 hours.
Oh yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank you, Diablo.
You turn left, you see sand. You turn right, you see Marius.
Oh, it's CAD people. Chucking poison bottles again.
Perfect. All right, so you couldn't have picked a better hero to forge for the Nexus today. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what we think the hero will be like if it was in the Nexus. So what do you think Adean's, or, well, I guess that's the first question. What direction do you want to take? Do you want to take the Adean direction more, or do you want to take the Dark Wanderer direction more, or after he's taken over by Diablo more? What do you think?
Well, I'd want to. Now, this was a very interesting call. Immediately, I wanted to go with the Dark Wanderer, cloak up and everything, because that's his most memorable visual cue. And also, I remember Blizzard talking at BlizzCon that with heroes, they like to have different silhouettes, so that, of course, when you're in the midst of battle, you can tell apart the different heroes and who to watch out for. So of course a dude in a cloak, there's nothing like that so far in Heroes. It works. And we already have Diablo himself, so you got to get that nice in between.
Yeah. I think that's great. And you know, I was going to bring up that same thing about the silhouette, because if you look at the heroes that are currently in the game, I remember at BlizzCon at that panel they showed all of the silhouettes of the current characters that are in the game, and they have held true to that. A lot of the silhouettes are very, very different. You know, it's hard to tell them apart. So in the midst of a big team battle, I think that's where they're looking to
Definitely.
Separate
So you
people.
don't get lost in amongst every other humanoid that's
Right.
there.
Right. So great. So we're looking for Dark Wanderer here. And what do you think the role classification would be for him?
Roll, I'm going with a ranged assassin.
Yeah, ranged assassin. I was thinking assassin too. I was thinking assassin for sure. Yeah, because he is depicted in the first game as a warrior, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of changes, and I was thinking Diablo's kind of missing like a necromancer kind of feel.
Yeah.
It's missing that. So I think assassin is a good.
Yeah, and then of course the beginning of the second one when he just decimates the rogues den where you think there would be assassins there strong enough to do something.
Right. Right. And most people just watch or die.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah, that's all you could do. I don't know what I would do differently. But yeah. Great. So did you think about what the Dark Wanderer's passive ability or passive trait might be? Did you have a thought for that?
Yes, and I'm going with something called containment. Based on the idea that there's still a human in there fighting for control with the Lord of Terror. And following cooldown of abilities that summon minions, the longer you go without summoning them, the stronger they are when released.
That is great. And that goes along the lines exactly of what I was thinking of, where I called mine Will of the Primevals.
Ooh!
And I said, as the amount of undead, it increases the amount of undead that the Dark Wanderer can summon as the game goes on.
Oh, that's
so the
awesome.
deeper you're in the game, the more that you can summon.
Oh.
But I think I like yours. I think I like containment because one thing, as I was building this, I was trying to put into it that feeling of tension, that feeling of, he's battling the inner battle.
Yes.
So I think that, let's go with yours. Let's go with containment, because that sounds cool. So I'll mark that down as what we're doing here.
Okay, cool. So you're keeping the notes on these? We have to look.
Yeah, I'll keep the notes on it. And then everybody that's listening to the show or watching live on Twitch, these notes will be posted. And then on the website, HeroesForge.club, we want you to just go crazy. Go crazy with, oh, this is a cool idea, but I had an idea when I was listening to the show. Or, oh, I got an idea for a great, talent tree for, containment or whatever it is. So we encourage all that kind of community building. This is a community driven show, so we want all that. So containment, awesome. I love it. So next we would talk about a hero's mounting ability, because some heroes have a different mounting ability. As far as Abathur, he can tunnel and all those different kinds of mounting
And then
abilities.
Lunara and her leap.
Exactly. All that different kind of stuff. So I was thinking that the Dark Wanderer would just have a normal mount, but what do you think?
Oh, you were thinking just a normal mount?
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you think?
Well, okay, so if you're going with the normal mount, would he have a special mount?
Oh, like his own.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even go that far or think of that. Because I was like, well, he could just ride a plain horse.
That's true. That's true.
But what were you thinking? Does he have a special mount?
There is, but I was thinking a regular mount too, and I was going with the back of a wagon. I think would be hilarious if he just had a regular mount, since
That's so good.
that's all he does.
Okay.
But
So-
the special one, if he does it, would be a teleport. Because in Act 3, you find the Dark Wanderer, and it's the only time in the whole game you run into him, and you follow after him, and he disappears in a cloud of smoke, and he leaves behind little flesh beasts. So what if you can't get on a mount, but you can teleport, and you leave behind flesh beasts? So you distract people, you distract enemies as you get away.
Now, would these flesh beasts be kind of like Asmodans, demons, or something like that in the same respect, or would they be weaker like minions, or what do you think?
That's a good question. Oh, it would depend on containment. How long have you gone without using your teleport? And this is
cool.
when you're using your teleport after it's been cooled down. Stacks don't start going until the ability has cooled down entirely.
Okay, I'm down. I'm down for teleport. Let's use teleport. Yeah, because that sounds way cooler than a brown horse.
Well, brown horse is fun, and I mean, Cho'Gall does a great job with the brown horse. Nice little
That's
take
right.
on it.
Yeah, Cho'Gall is a perfect example of how nothing's out of bounds for Blizzard too. So maybe they'll throw in teleport on a Dian, and we can take credit for that.
Just
Or
write our
you
names
can,
on it.
and I'll just kind of ride
Both.
your coattails. But yeah, okay, cool. So we've got teleport as our mounting ability here. And then, okay, let's get into basic abilities. So let's talk a little bit about Q and what you think the Q ability is. And I have an idea too, but I want to hear yours first.
Okay, so we're going with Q, and this one would be called Penetrating Spirits. And it's an area of effect where spirits swarm and fear heroes, dealing damage within the area.
Oh, they fear heroes.
Yeah, and I've never come across a hero within Heroes that fears, so of all the characters to fear.
Yeah, and talk about a Blizzard ability that's in a ton of Blizzard games is fear. And it can be so annoying if you're the one feared.
That's probably why they haven't added it at all.
Exactly. But that's great, though. I mean, they have to incorporate that at some time, you would think. The whole fear aspect of it, where it doesn't stun you, but it is a version of CC, I guess. Would we call it CC?
I guess since it's in an area of effect, I would assume.
Yeah, I like that. My idea is called internal conflict.
Ooh.
I was thinking a lot about the spiderlings in Tomb of the Spider Queen. You know, the big queens come down and then they have the spiderlings. So I was thinking more of just like a straight line shot of fire. It's like it's a huge Diablo trait, you know?
Yes.
So I was thinking something like that. But again, I think yours is just way more.
But the fire thing could be great too, because I mean, it could be that green fire that he summons.
Okay, let's go with that for
Yeah.
the Q then. Let's say that's his Q, called internal conflict. So I picture the model in the game when you press it having some sort of like second reaction before it happens, because maybe it's like the internal conflict is causing him to and like launch it forward. So
and so what if then too, on top of that, the color changes based on how crazy you are, and then the damage changes based on how long you've gone without using it?
Yeah, because that's part of our passive, right?
Yeah.
Containment.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, cool. And then what do you think about W?
Beckon, and it's a cone, and enemy heroes are drawn toward the Wanderer, suffering damage if they try to run away, in honor of Marius.
Oh, that is good. That is really good. Instantly, I envisioned Star Wars The Force Awakens, Kylo Ren pulling people in.
Yes.
With the neck grab, and they're just like, ooh.
Oh, so good.
Oh, that's the first thing I envisioned. I love it. I love it. That was my summon ability, was my W, but I'm thinking that you're going to have a summon ability coming, maybe for your E for summoning.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, no, that's great that we're on the same page. Yeah, so mine was called From the Depths.
Ooh.
And summon the number of undead allowed by will of the primevals, which was my passive.
Yeah.
But we would change it to summon a number of undead allowed by containment, or, you know, however long it's been with that passive.
Yeah.
But
Well, that would
that's
work
what I'm
really
thinking
well.
yours is going to be.
Oh, a nice summon. Oh, my goodness.
So let's lock down your W then. What was it called again?
Beckon.
Beckon. Love it. Great. Pull in. Love it. So what about your E? Is that your summon?
Yep, it's called Summon Hellspawn, in case anyone was confused if it was going to be a summon here.
Right.
And I have the description being summon one of 3 monsters: skeletal warriors, fire imps, or flesh beasts. And I see this one as something you would use a talent to choose between, so that way it wouldn't get crazy with buttons.
Oh, so like some of the heroes, you know, that are doing it now where they're forcing you. I think it's Lunara forces you to pick a wisp talent at some point.
Yeah, at level 4, I think.
So maybe your first talent pick with the Dark Wanderer is, what are you going to summon? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, something like that.
Great. So just like Kharazim,
Yeah.
where you have to choose what path you're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would think, this is such a great idea, I would think that they would all have different uses with against different team compositions.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So maybe the skeletons are beefier and can take more damage but don't do as much damage, so they're tankier.
Mm-hmm.
And then the flesh beasts, maybe they have, some sort of crazy poison damage over time or something, where they're like... And then the imps maybe even damage over time with fire. So that's I like that.
And then what's yours?
Mine was called Wanderer's Blade.
Ooh.
Something that really stuck out to me in that first cutscene of Diablo 2 when he walks into the tavern and they're talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
Is his walk, and I'd love it if the Dark Wanderer was in the game, if he walked like that.
Oh,
you know how Leoric has that walk where it's real slow, just like...
Mm-hmm.
If the Dark Wanderer walked, he kind of just dragged his sword behind him, where it was just scraping along the ground as you were walking.
Oh, can I go into a little side story here?
Yes,
What that reminds me of? Okay, so there was a production of Hamlet I saw, and when the king's ghost shows up, they had this graded walkway, and he would always appear at the end of the walkway and basically drag his sword along the grating. It was visually incredible, so I am all for that.
Right, and you could hear it too, just like...
Yeah,
I think
it was
that'd be
spooky.
so great. Yeah, especially if he was in a bush or something in the game, you could hear you can hear Leoric in the game. It'd be the same kind of feel.
Yeah.
But my E was Wanderer's Blade, so he's walking like that most of the game. Same movement speed as every other, walking hero. But he had a sort of, because going with the lore, Leoric is his father, or so, they backdated that information, but yes, Leoric is his father.
Yep.
He had like a March of the Black King 4-blade sweeping motion. So not necessarily as heroic as Leoric's March of the Black King, but it'll move in a straight line, and I didn't think you would be able to be unstoppable, because then that would be more of a heroic ability.
Yeah.
And not as good, but again, I am outdone by yours. I think it is really, really, really good. So, remind me the name of it again.
Summon Hellspawn.
Summon Hellspawn. So great. Great. So we've got some awesome abilities here. I think by far my favorite is the mounting ability. I think that's a really cool idea that he leaves behind those, and that's good for vision too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even think of it like that, but you're 100% correct. Oh, God. And then you'd have to figure out how long you'd want them to be on the field to grant sight. Ooh, that'll be interesting.
Right. Or is it until they're destroyed, or...
Yeah, I would assume
maybe.
they'd be on a timer, though, but maybe not. Maybe you can pick a talent where they go as long as they have health.
Oh, maybe the community could help us out with that maybe a little bit. And then ultimately it's really up to Blizzard, because those percentages and all that kind of jazz is not up to us.
Oh my goodness. I could throw in numbers, but they wouldn't
That's
mean
right.
anything.
I know. Right? Great. Okay, so we've got all of our basic abilities. Let's go ahead and let's forge our heroic.
Heroic.
All right, awesome. So I have 2 ideas for heroics.
Ooh.
I'll tell you mine first. Mine are...
Heroic.
The first one is called I Thought I Could Contain It.
Ah.
And basically it is skeletal hands reach up from below, grab heroes, and pull them all together.
Oh,
Like a gravity
snap.
bomb kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then my second heroic idea was called Infernal Gate. This, though, plays a little bit with your mounting idea. Because Infernal Gate is place a gate or a portal at one point in the map to allow quick travel from one of your other portals.
Oh, nice.
But I was thinking it would only be able to be used by the creatures that you summon. So you could select your creatures and have them go into the portal, but heroes couldn't travel through it because it might be OP.
Yeah.
Or maybe if heroes traveled through it, it would only last once, like a medevac dropship.
Oh.
Or something like that.
Oh, wow, those are incredible. I really so the skeletal hands with that one, if heroes are all around the different points in the circle, would the hands like all draw them into the center then?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I think it would have a huge AoE circle, the biggest one you've ever seen.
Yeah,
because that would be the only thing that would set it different from a gravity bomb or whatever it's called that Gazlo has that pulls everybody into the center.
exactly. And if you're aware of the gravity bomb, you can walk out. But with this one, you'd have to fight your way to get out.
Right, and then. I can just imagine the synergy with like a maw, lock everybody down after you pull them all in. And then, Nova could blast them all or whatever. So that was my thought. What about your heroics?
Yeah. So the first one is madness. You explode in uncontainable power, releasing an army of the damned that attacks all enemies in the area. But I like your skeleton thing better. I think that's amazing. And then the second heroic, I titled, "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" And like Chen's, was it Air, Earth, Fire?
Right.
Bale and Mephisto join their brother in a murderous rampage.
Oh, that is cool. That is really cool. On your first one, I'm thinking, would that kill your hero?
Oh!
What if it was so powerful that when you had to make the decision, I'm going to delete myself from this team fight because I'm going to summon a serious legion of people? Oh,
snap. That is a good question. Wow. Oh.
I think there's two ways you could go with it. You could go with where you don't die and the army isn't as powerful, or you do blow yourself up. And then you're on a cooldown timer, and those guys are just,
unstoppable.
Given hell. No
yeah,
pun
literally.
Well, pun intended. Let's be real. But to everybody, I don't know. Either way is good.
Yeah, that's incredible. But that skeleton hands thing, just the visual alone, that one has to be in there. You got to throw that heroic in there.
Okay, so cool. We'll add. I thought I could contain it.
Yes.
And then we'll add your second heroic ability, which was called...
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? What a great idea. So it's the other two prime evils coming in with the Dark Wanderer.
Yes.
And then, yeah, that's great.
And it's hard, though, because I'd want him to become Diablo, but at the same time, there's already Diablo, so...
I had the same thought. I was like, well, could you put Diablo in the game again? And I was like, no. And then I was imagining all the flavor text in between Diablo and the Dark Wanderer. Like, what would that flavor text be?
Oh, there's no telling. It would probably be very bad, very punny.
Yeah. Oh, it's all very punny. All of those other flavor texts in between random characters, like the Lieutenant Morales saying she's never healed a zombie before while she's playing with Leoric. Have you heard that?
No. I usually get the one, it's I'm Murky and someone's Sonia, and Sonia's going, a fish? Is that the fish? You slap people with a fish? And then I just gurgle.
Exactly. That is what we're talking about. Okay, well, that was awesome. We have an awesome hero idea, and so... we definitely have a HeroesForge.
HeroesForged.
Great. So awesome. Kristen, thank you so much for being on the show. It was just absolutely outstanding to be able to take the time to envision the Dark Wanderer for the show. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, like we said, we're going to post this hero on the website. That's heroesforge.club. We encourage the community to chat about talent, traits, all of that sort of fun stuff, things you would have changed that we talked about, things you wouldn't have changed, things you liked, and things like that. Also, you can catch HeroesForge on Twitter at ForgeHeroes, and also you can catch us on youtube.com/HeroesForge. And also, if you'd like to support the show, we have our own Patreon website that we're starting up. It's patreon.com/HeroesForge for more information on that. And Kristen, whereabouts are you on the interwebs?
I'm around and about, tripping over my words. But anyway, you can find me on Twitter at Dream Destroyer, DRMDESTRYR. I also have a YouTube channel by the same name. And then, of course, my blog, Ripped for Blizzcon. And the countdown has begun because I am cosplaying as Sonya this year. So I have to grow some massive thighs.
Oh, that's going to be so cool. Are you building your own costume?
Yes, I don't know how good the costume will look, so that's why I'm doing the bodybuilding. Because at least, you look strong.
Right. People be like, well, the bodybuilding looks good.
Exactly. The skulls may be a little lopsided. The swords are kind of weird sticks I found outside. Imagination.
I can't tell you. I've seen those cosplayers at Blizzcon or at Comic-Con, and they go all out for that stuff.
Oh, and the detail they can get is beautiful.
Yeah. And you were telling me a little bit about Ripped for BlizzCon before the show started. Can you give everybody a little bit of rundown of what you have in the future in store for Ripped for BlizzCon?
Oh, certainly. So right now I do once weekly postings with general information about fitness, and we're talking working out as well as diet, since both are very important. Mm-hmm. But coming up, I'll be creating a YouTube video series to go over different ways to get in shape. And this first one will be about proper back support and how to figure out what your correct posture should be before you start lifting, since that's very important.
Right. You don't want to hurt yourself while you're getting ripped for BlizzCon.
Exactly.
It's a good time to start to get ripped for BlizzCon. Because assuming it's in November, I mean, you could be Sonya status by November for sure.
I know.
Because right now I'm like Chen status.
Well, Chen's an awesome tank.
That's right, an awesome tank. So thank you again, Kristen. It was great. And make sure everybody that's listening to the show that you tune in next week for Heroes Forge. Next week I have a Twitch streamer by the name of Abathur1613. He's a rank 1 Heroes League Abathur player, and he has played a ton of Abathur. So check him out on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Abathur1613. And he's got a great idea for somebody we're going to forge next week, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. So it should be a total blast. So that being said, Heroes Forge streams live on twitch.tv/HeroesForge every Sunday night at 7 o'clock Pacific time. So we hope to see you next week with Abathur1613. And this week, Kristen, thank you so much again for joining us. And we'll see you in the real world.